It's Tuesday, and We the Nation on Urban Nation Radio. I'm your host, Kelly Greene. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Big show today. We're going to have Yusef Shakur here, and he's going to give us a lowdown. He recently went to Ferguson, Missouri, and we had a hands-on eyewitness account of everything going on. I know, being part of the media myself, I can attest to the media being a little bit sensationalized. Seems like in these days, we want to get the story, we want to sensationalize the story, make it interesting, but we not necessarily want the truth. I can give you a case in point to the Ray Rice situation going on right now. Everybody wants the sensationalized information, but nobody wants the kind of the real truth. And when the truth did come out, is it more horrific or less horrific? Depends on how you looked at it. But on this show, you're gonna get the truth. And Yusef, buddy up here, we're here again. All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem. So, right off the bat, some people who don't know Yusef Bunchy Shakur, you wouldn't know Yusef Shakur. He was Zone 8 JoJo from back in the day.
Right. I grew up on the west side of Detroit, in the neighborhood that we call Zone 8.
Right.
Co-founded the gang Zone 8 with some childhood friends of mine, which led me to go to prison for a crime I did not commit. And while in prison, I met my father for the first time. And that relationship had a tremendous impact on me, transforming and redeeming my life, where I transformed from JoJo to Yusef Bunchy Shakur. I served 9 years. I've been home out of prison going on 14 years.
Wow, that's amazing. It's a lot of people, and the way the system is set up, people who serve even 5 years have a higher percentage of going back.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what the system is set up for. It's designed. Again, unfortunately, too many people in our society has drunken the Kool-Aid, has fallen for the old okie doke. Where you sentence someone and they're gone, but they don't realize that prison is a temporary fix. All it is a warehouse, a holding place. It's not addressing the emotional, social needs of human beings to improve them. So in reality, there's no rehabilitation. I make no. I don't play with that. I stated strong that my father is the reason that way I am today. If it was left up to prison, I'd still be gangbanging trying to rob people.
Wow, and that's an amazing story. And for those who don't know, and especially if you're outside, you're watching right now, you're outside the city of Detroit, Yusef, those 14 years outside prison, he's really transformed not only himself, but our city as a whole, especially within the community, Zone 8. You had the Urban Network Cafe. People in the neighborhood can actually go there and get free internet.
Right.
You're currently working on a project over on Ferry Street right now.
On Ferry Park, where after I was forced to close the Urban Network bookstore cafe that I ran for 4+ years in my neighborhood, a house was given to me that I'm the lead organizer to bring into fruition a community space, a project that will be multi-purpose in servicing, developing, and building human beings, but more importantly, curating an economic hub that would support these activities. Unfortunately, too many people in our communities, locally as well as nationally, depend on other resources outside our community as primary resources to fund the work that we need to do. And when that funding leaves, those programs and that work ultimately dies. Right. And so we have to take responsibility for any change that needs to occur in our community. And we need community organizers, we need lead organizers, individuals that's putting forth an effort to work on behalf of the people, not on behalf of themselves. So I'm just a part of a process, a vehicle that has been utilized to service and architect something that's greatly needed in our community.
Right. If I may say so, you're not really part of the vehicle. You are right now the driver. I can honestly say I haven't seen too many people who've done more than you have, and that's saying a lot. Especially you throw in public officials, more accomplished. I say on a, I want to say on the school level. People who have degrees and all that stuff. I mean, you come out, you did your time. You come out and you've really set the city on fire. So I commend you for that.
I appreciate
Just
that.
as a friend, I've been watching for a minute, so I'm not just talking off the top of my head here.
I appreciate that. I mean, one of the things we say that our budget is hope, of hope and love.
Right.
That's what inspires me to do more with less.
You heard that.
We've done more with less, and because of the budget is hope, our budget is love. That challenges and inspires us to go the extra mile. Because reality, the problems that we're addressing is the same problems that created who I once was. So who's better to go within that community to address those problems, to work towards solving those problems. And we solve those problems by providing hope. We're not going to fix them overnight, but we can definitely begin to create a program and a process to fix them in a long haul by starting right now.
I heard that. You heard it from the man here, Yusef Shakur. Prison doesn't stop. It actually can. If you don't let it beat you, you can make it better.
Yeah, I mean,
make life better.
Yeah, I mean, we have to expand our mind on what we think and see prison as. As Malcolm X once said, that it wasn't crime to go to. It wasn't criminal to go to prison. It's a crime to remain a criminal.
All right.
And so for myself, like I was in prison long before I was physically incarcerated. I was in prison to a mind state.
Right.
And there's people out here who've been sentenced to a life of ignorance, who've been sentenced to a life of drugs, a life of anger and pain, which ultimately leads them to those unfortunate circumstances. And we find ourselves in unfortunate circumstances because we drunk the Kool-Aid as a solution, but we don't realize the budget that it takes to run a prison can fix our communities. And fixing our communities can fix human beings.
Right.
I mean, to break it down for folks even more clearly, it costs between $30,000 and $40,000 to warehouse a prisoner each year. It costs only between $7,000 and $12,000, depends on what county you live in, to educate a student. So America the Great would rather incarcerate instead of educate. These same communities that we're talking about, in particular black urban communities, there's no recreation centers, there are poor schools, there's low unemployment, there's high poverty, blight. All these things are ingredients for self-destruction, the mass chaos that we see, but we sweep up under the rug and say, well, let's lock everybody up. And so our communities actually are prisoners. Because the fact there's no one that we don't know hasn't been in prison, that is not on parole, that doesn't have the little black box around their ankle. So it's like, nigga, you gonna be next.
Yeah, and especially in my own neighborhood. I grew up not far from Clemson Greenfield, and we were aware of the Zone 8 boys. Even though we considered ourselves people, we was on the other end of the side, but we still had the same mentality. I had the same mentality at one point. I just didn't go the route you went. But the thing that changed us, that molded us, that we had the sense to be bigger, they took that out. So we took out the rec centers, you took out mentors, you took out the schools, because every school I went to, from kindergarten through high school, was gone.
Right.
So you took all those points out. And what you left with?
You left with self-destruction. You left with anger. You left with
hurt. Like you just said, yeah.
I mean, a school. How can you have a community with no community schools? Yeah. I mean, just to ponder on that question, it takes out the bottom of a community, and so people are just falling in a black bliss. Because at the end of the day, when you and I was growing up, even though it was hard, like you and I might fight.
Right.
But as our parents, like, y'all gonna be friends tomorrow, because there was a connection as a community. Even though drugs and other things had swept in, it's more extreme now because of the economic plight that exists. So that's violence. That's violence educationally when you close a school. That's violent when someone is fired from a job, or someone as a formerly incarcerated man or woman can't go get a job. That's a violent act. But again, all we focus on the physical violence, but it's the internal violence that we are absorbing because of the things that we're experiencing that's contributing to the mindset of wanting to act out violently because of the pain and the anger that it ultimately has to come out. I mean, anything that's inside got to come out.
Exactly. And I couldn't have said it no better myself. And that's one reason why I wanted to have you on, because I think as a whole, as a community, we need to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with somebody who's been down that road. We want to wait till somebody who's like been in college and got PhDs and all that stuff. We want them to tell us, but they can't really tell us because they never experienced that. If they did, they are so far removed.
Mm-hmm.
They have a hard time making connection. But like you and I, we live here.
Absolutely.
We've been through that, So I think we are better suit. We better tell them and tell the community, like, look, this is what's going on here. We just need people who have PhDs and the doctorates help us motivate, help us get up there, But I think we're missing that leadership also.
I mean, not only do we, I would challenge in the sense as far as the PhDs or these affluent individuals. What we need for them to understand that they're you still black.
Yeah.
That you
Yes.
are still part of our peoplehood, our communities.
Yeah.
When you look at the social makeup of white communities, Asian communities, those affluent folks, maybe not all of them, but a percentage of them comes back.
Right.
And contributes something to their community.
Right.
So when Becky wants to be a lawyer, when she walks out of her house, she sees the lawyer next door to her. Mm-hmm. If Billy wants to be the judge, when he walks out of his house, he sees Billy to the left. When you and I walk out of our house,
Right.
only time we see a judge when he's sentencing us to prison.
Absolutely.
Only time we see a lawyer when he's helping us go to prison. Only time we see a police officer when he's putting the handcuffs. So we're receiving a different type of education that's keeping us in a slave's condition because of the inferiority that has been heaped on us. So and that's all goes back to integration. So integration in one way it brought some fakeism of inequality. On another level, it allowed for the affluent black people to leave. But when we were segregated and had to live together, you had poor people. You had different folks who worked at different jobs. folks. We was all in the same pot, helping each other. We created a gumbo that allowed us to rise to the top as a community.
Exactly. Now I think we need to get that recipe for that gumbo back in a hurry.
Yeah.
In a hurry. And I already made kind of my thoughts on Dr. Ben Carson. He said that Ferguson had nothing to do with race, and I was just kind of incensed for like a good 30 minutes. And I had to really calm down and think about, you grew up in Detroit, just like many single mother, just like many young blacks nowadays, and you made it. I was at the Freedom Front dinner when he got an award, but now when he has somebody who has made it, has got there, who's built this platform for himself, how can you turn around and see something like Ferguson, Missouri, and nothing going on out there, and not say race had anything to do with it?
I mean, I don't know how many of your listeners or even yourself have seen the cartoon Boondocks.
Yes, love a cartoon.
All right, so Ben Carson is the modern day Uncle Ruckus. If anybody unfamiliar with Uncle Ruckus, here's a black man with a white mind. Who loves white people, who honor white people, who want to die for white people, who want to kill for white people. I mean, I'm not even going to try to nicen it up. I'm going to call it what it is. He's a modern day kiss ass.
Wow, okay, yeah, there it is. Because I think I had all the thoughts too. Because how can I was beyond perplexed. From his background to now, and all the things you can be doing for your community, all this inspiration you can get giving back, and to see a situation like Ferguson, Missouri, and for us, you and I to sit here and just talk about the conditions of our community, and not say race had anything to do with it.
I mean, but that's the trickology of oppression, where the ruling class tends to pull somebody out of the oppressed class and praise them as the example.
Gotcha.
You can be just like Ben Carson. You can be just like Michael Jordan. But the reality that for every Ben Carson, there's thousands of us being slaughtered in the penitentiary. There's thousands of us that are in the graveyards.
All right.
But Ben Carson's story changes because his heart is no longer committed to us. His heart is committed to the interests of white people, and he's working on behalf of white people. I mean, to say that Ferguson was not a race issue, that's ludicrous. To say the same thing in Detroit, it's not a race issue. That's ludicrous. When the fact that this young man was murdered. In the reality, he was murdered because he was black. If that was a white teenager, he would not have been shot.
He might not went to jail. Probably was. I'm gonna take you. Who's your mom and daddy? Let me take you over there.
Exactly. I mean, and not only was he shot, the way he was shot, and the aftermath after he had been shot. And when I went to Ferguson, the 3 days or 4 days I was there, it was 96 every day.
That's hot.
Right. It was hot. It was hot. So imagine a body laying on a hot concrete. For 4 or 5 hours. I mean, and as a community, you're sitting there, you're watching it. So, I mean, how else did you expect us to respond?
Right.
In a small county like Ferguson, we look at the complexity of the oppression, but also what's not being talked about within Ferguson, like Michael Brown incident is not isolated. It was a perpetuation of police brutality, which is actual oppression in our community. Hearing from young folks as well as old folks in the community, when the police ride down on them, they're jumping out on them, and that's what they call the police and the jump out boys. Same thing, you know, in Detroit, Texas, New York. I mean, so you're seeing a national epidemic here. And again, when we talk about Ferguson, we have to include what happened in Ohio. We have to include what happened in New York. We have to include what happened in Detroit with Ayanna Jones. I mean, these are national epidemics. So Darren Wilson, even though he's an individual, he represents a mind state within the American system that he feels he has the right to do whatever he wants to a black person, and that goes back to the Dred Scott case. Right. Dred Scott was once a slave
in the same state.
In the same state, where they stayed in one state, a slave state. In St. Louis, I think it was a free state, and the slave master tried to take him back, and he took him to court. And the Supreme Court judge ruled that a black man has no rights that a white man was bound to respect. A black man has no rights that a white man was bound to respect. So when you see one of them kill us, that's that case operating all over again.
Wow. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with more Yusef Shakur. I'm your host, Kelly Greene, and we'll get deeper into Ferguson. We're back on We the Nation, UrbanNationRadio.com. I'm your host, Kelly Greene. I have Yusef Shakur here, and we're getting into Ferguson. Yusef Shakur just came back from Ferguson not too long ago. Spent 3 or 4 days there. So, upon your first arrival, how was the gauge the town? How was it when you first got there?
When we first got there, it was intense. You know, a lot of the militarization had pulled back. Okay. But it definitely had that atmosphere. It was thick that you can cut it with a knife. As the day progressed and we began to meet the natives and hear firsthand account what was going on, and actually again Ferguson, so whoever never been there, ain't nothing that big, you know, ain't big at all. Right. And everything took place, or the murder took place, or the execution, shall I call it, on Canfield. I think it was a street called West Florissant. That's where the activity of the organizing, the protest, the marching, action, things of that nature was taking place. And so once it got dark, everybody began to go up there, chant, walk, march. On one side you had media, community folks, out of towners, and on the other side you had the police. It was thick.
So the media that was there, did you feel that they gave a fair representation or no?
I mean, media never gives a fair representation there, now, or ever. But also too, and this is another thing hasn't really been talked about. Well, you had a lot of independent white media there. Gotcha. And so, like, in the mix of the crowd, I mean, you know, you just had these white guys and white women. They just snapping pictures. Right. They trying to catch anything, and they felt like vultures.
You know, that's exactly. That's a great. I'm looking for a great analogy for like a while now. But you hit on like that, vultures. They're They want the meat. They want the scraps. You know.
Because they're trying to catch the most angriest face.
Right.
They're trying to catch the most confrontational. Because like me and you, I mean, it's intense situations. So I mean, you might argue, and they're just intruding. You know, and they're not even asking like, Kelly, Yusef is already recording this. I told one white guy, man, what did you doing? He walked away with an attitude. I mean, you're being disrespectful. So in the grand scheme, let's put to bed too. The looting. The looting is so over exaggerated.
Yeah, that's my next question about the looting.
It was one place that was burned down. It was a gas station. From word that we got, that was done by an anarchist. There was other places that had some things were taken out of, or they were trying to take out of.
Right.
And it was young people in the community stepped up and said, no, you can't do this. We're not savages.
Right.
Even though we're hurting, we're in pain, this is not how we want to act out this hurt and this pain. But also, specifically talking about young people was left to stand up. Pastors left them, so-called community organization that throws out a lot of wolf tickets. I'm gonna kill the man, and they left them. It was the young folks who speak broken English, whose pants are sagging, who wear do-rags, who stepped up and grabbed babies, who protected mothers when the tear gas came in and the rubber bullets was shot at them.
So there was no real looting, but they was still throwing tear gas or bullets.
I mean, once the rebellion erupted, and the rebellion was actually a response of the over aggressiveness of the military, which was predominantly white cops.
Gotcha.
Initiated that.
Right.
I mean, it's like your brother, I kill your brother. You're angry. You're hurt. You're mad. And so someone comes in and they're pushing you and talking to you. I mean, how else do you expect me to respond if I'm already in a very volatile situation?
Right. Especially you already killed one black guy laying here.
Yeah.
And now I'm fearing for my life.
And then I mean, what also underlying thing to this is here are so-called professionals,
right,
who are behaving, acting unprofessionally. I also want to really clear up too around Ron Johnson. I believe that's the black cop that ultimately came in. I mean, and that was another form of trying to put us to sleep. You know, Ron Johnson on TV, he said all the magical, powerful black things that we wanted to see, but off cameras, he was the police. Off cameras, he was the police. He thought like a police. He acted like a police. He behaved like a police.
So it's the blue blood.
Absolutely.
It's the blue blood. So you're there. All this stuff's going on. Who would you say was the most outspoken of everybody there? Who really had the pulse of the people?
I mean, young people. Young folks again who don't necessarily engage in this type of work. They stepped up. I mean, I was excited. I was proud. I mean, I was like giving me my marching orders. You guys generals. I'm a soldier. Let's get it in. I mean, for me, it felt like seeing the rebirth of Malcolm X, Yusef Shakur, Ella Baker, Stokely Carmichael. This what I felt like I was amongst them. Many of them had not known each other. They may have seen each other, but out of this common struggle, they grew a common bond for black love, for black humanity, and they were willing to die or fight for it then and now. They was there. They are our freedom fighters. They are the leaders that we've been waiting for.
And that's very encouraging for young people. And you see these young people. I see young people every day, and at times being older, like I remember being young, but I don't remember being that crazy. Mm-hmm. And then for you to come back with that report, that's very encouraging, because sometimes I don't think young people get it. But just in that point in time, they got it. And sunk in.
I mean, in young people as old people, that we all learn on different levels.
Right.
I mean, here's a story with some of the guys who were some of the most extreme street guys. There's a place on the corner. They put all their guns up there.
Wow.
And they was ready to go to war. They was ready to protect the community because of what they had been dealing with. Again, they came. The military came in with one mission: to kill our people who look like you and I. And who was responsible to protect us?
Yeah, we
Us,
protect
we are.
us.
You know,
Right.
and those young people, those gang members,
Uh-huh.
they became what they was born to be. Our warrior class, our soldiers, our army.
Wow, that's intense. So, at the meetings, you mentioned on a lot of your Facebook posts, a guy named Yusef Shakur.
Right.
How influential did he really connect you with the natives, or how was he as a guy around Ferguson, Missouri?
The Ruba was very influential on me, and I was able to be influential on him. He was one of the many different organizers, activists, advocates on the ground. We spent majority of our time there. He adopted us, we adopted him. When I met him, his name was Jeffrey Hill, and he's like, man, I need a name. We're going to give you Deruba, which means being born in the storm. He was reborn in the storm. So it was a beautiful, beautiful sight, beautiful experience. We had the great honor and pleasure to bring him to Detroit on September 19th. He's going to do a live report about Ferguson, as well as we're going to discuss oppression here in America, which that event will take place at Keebaline Village on Harper and Van Dyke. You can't miss it, which is on the east side, right by 94, over there by old Kettering High School.
Yeah.
So if anybody looking to get any more information, they can call me directly, 313-459-6008. Again, the number is 313-459-6008. So on that event, we will be doing a live report from Yusef Shakur from Ferguson to Detroit.
Wow, that's big. Because that's going to really link our communities up. That's going to be the next thing that we need to do as a whole black community, as a nation, to really bring us together. So I'm really looking forward to that. If I can make some changes, I might just take that out. So Ferguson, Missouri, if you equate Ferguson, Missouri to all the things that's going on nationwide now, is Ferguson, Missouri the match that's going to light us a fire up on us? Is this going to...
It definitely lit a match up on a lot of people's asses. In my opinion, I mean, for many of us, we fell asleep, and what Ferguson did, it woke us back up.
Yeah.
And we gotta keep us awake. And again, Ferguson is not isolated. We got a brother in Cincinnati, Ohio, was murdered in Walmart. We got Eric Garner was murdered, choked to death. We got Ayanna Jones that was murdered. We got a brother in New Orleans that was murdered. We got the sister in California that was beat up. I mean, again, this is a psycho epidemic, and we have to realize and recognize that we have a human right to defend ourselves. And we have to organize ourselves, but also organize ourselves fundamentally. We have to clean up our communities. And cleaning up our community, we put ourselves in a position to do what we're supposed to do. Because if I'm in my community selling dope, robbing, that is an excuse to mess with you. You work at Ford.
Right.
You going to school. Because they're not going to differentiate all black men or all black women. To them, we're all the same.
Right.
Criminals, thugs, monsters. And so once we clean that up, then that allows us to build a people's army. So our grandmothers and grandfathers always saying, like, they know what it is, but right now they're more scared of me and you than who they should be, which is the police.
Wow. You know what? You give me a lot to really chew on, so because I was aware of Ferguson being the lightning rod for our people. I didn't know how big. Because now that's happened. We have to find ways to unite. Have you been in contact with anybody in the other states, Cincinnati or New York, or?
I mean, not anybody directly that's dealing with those organizing, but that's the imperative move that needs to take place. We have to connect the dots. It's a lot what's going on. It's not on one individual. It's on a collective of all of us. But in the process, we have to make sure that we have analysis. Right. Many of us don't have the correct analysis. So the flawed theories lead to flawed practices. And we have to correct that. And correcting that understanding that this is a national oppression that exists within our community. We have symptoms: police brutality, mass incarceration, discrimination. These are symptoms. Right. The main objective is eliminate oppression. We eliminate oppression, We eliminate discrimination. We eliminate mass incarceration.
Right.
We, on and on and on. We eliminate that, but we can't take our eyes off that prize, which is objective. And there's different strategies, there's different tactics, different roads, but there's one destination.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I try to tell people a lot, when you vote, especially getting involved in voting, you may not get what you want right now, but you send a message to the people who want to set the rules against you that we're getting to their point.
I mean, but I would challenge you though, right? So we look at voting, and I'm for voting. However, what we need to create is our own political party.
Okay, I can see that.
I mean, look at it. Basically, what we're doing is playing basketball in the sense of the game that we're playing right now. We're voting for a Democrat. We're voting for a Republican, and they're basically both the same. I mean, let's put it on the table the results. You know, even if it's a black Democrat, I mean, ultimately he or she's working on the interests of white people, because the Democrat and Republican Party is rooted in the interests of white people. We need a political party that represents the interests of black, oppressed people within the United States of America. And we change the game. So voting will matter in that context. But as long as we continue to vote for these two parties, voting really doesn't matter anything, because neither of these parties represents us.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back with more of Yusef Shakur. I'm your host, Kelly Greene. Don't go nowhere. And we're back on We the Nation, UrbanNationRadio.com. I'm your host, Kelly Greene. My guest today, Yusef Shakur, fresh from his trip to Ferguson, Missouri. And trust me, brother, I appreciate talking to you today, because I really got a clear picture of what's going on out there.
Oh man, first of all, acknowledge that you've been a great supporter, not just now, man, for over the last couple of years. So I really, really appreciate you for that. I mean, I meet a lot of different folks. Many of them just want to jump on the bandwagon. None of them really want to get in the trenches, and you definitely one of those guys want to get in the trenches.
I appreciate it. We got to sit together. You know, many hands make light work, so we got to do this thing. So tell us again about the event on the 19th with Ruben Shakur.
So we got the Ruben Shakur coming from Ferguson to give a live report, man. This is not a local or isolated incident. This is national. Again, a national agenda that needs to be developed, needs to be discussed around our national oppression. Mass incarceration, discrimination, police brutality, etc. is symptoms of black oppression. The objective is to end black oppression. We end that, we end those symptoms. But in the process, we have to connect the dots. There's hood, neighborhoods, cities, that black folks in across the country, but also from a national to an international level. Because when folks are facing in Palestine, we're facing the same thing. We have the same common enemy. So those are some of the things, like as a jump off. Within that, we'll also be launching a new organization, Restoring the Neighbor at the Hood. I'd love to come back and talk about that.
Oh, anytime you want to.
We see the Restoring the Neighbor at the Hood organization as continuing the legacy of the Black Panther Party in the sense of the people survival programs, was feeding the people, clothing the people, educating, as well as defending the people. So we welcome folks to help participate in that. And within that process, there will be a mass-based organization for folks to come and volunteer. If you're looking to be more deeply involved, there will be more of a streaming process where you have to attend certain meetings, attend certain workouts. Too many people want to do things but not willing to want to commit themselves.
Exactly.
So we're looking for committed people. We're looking for quality people. We're going to take quantity over quality.
I heard that.
Quality over quantity.
Right, because you have no quality, you have nothing. So.
Absolutely. There's no lie about that one.
Yeah, so we got to have... I'm really looking forward to it, because I think once we start uniting people, get the dialogue amongst each other, we can really start something great. Talk about, like that. We say start our own political party. I mean, this is how you do it.
Absolutely. Start from the boots on the ground. And doing the trenches work. And the trenches work is changing the mindset.
Right.
So when you look at a Ben Carson was created, conditioned, educated to be that way.
Right.
We have to create, educate, and condition to be the opposite in the interests of our community.
I heard that. Now, if you take everything that happened in Ferguson, you take your experience, what's the biggest thing that you've gain from being in Ferguson?
Confidence. What I mean by that, again, I'm well read. I've earned my stripes in the trenches, but I've never been in that type of situation. Looking at guns in your face, feeling that situation.
Right.
So, and to see young people and see our people willing to die and willing to kill, whatever it takes, it gave whatever confidence that I
Right.
lack as a black person in America, refueled me and committed my commitment to my community, to my people, is more stronger than ever.
I heard that. Cause definitely, when I looked at the outcome and the reports from the information, I was like, you know what, we're on to something here. It's starting to, like I said earlier, it's the match that's starting to fire. Because even myself, and I wrote my blog this week, actually I didn't write it this week, I wrote it like 2 weeks ago, but I'm keeping it up because it's called, go to hollyfyouhearme.com, it's called Enough. I mean, that came out of that. And I was like, yeah, it has to happen. It has to happen. So I look forward to everything you're doing, especially on this front. And I don't think the conversation's not over. Not by a long shot. I have a feeling that it's going to be another Michael Brown, and I hate to say it, but I have a feeling it's going to be another Michael Brown situation soon.
And it's going to continue to be another Michael Brown, another Aiyana Jones, another Eric Gardner. So we got to keep saying the other names. You just can't just say Michael Brown and just so we get stuck there. And it's only going to be another one with the fact that we're not doing what we're supposed to do in our community by allowing white supremacy, racist individuals to exist and feel they have a right to kill us. Until we defend ourselves and organize our community, that will happen.
Yep, absolutely. It was once said, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
Absolutely. As we all know, we always taught, the bullying only respects someone who defends himself. You might not win, but you definitely going to gain that respect, and he's going to think twice about putting his hands on you.
All right, so down the line, where do you see yourself about 3 or 4 years from now?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, that changes from moment to moment, day to day. I mean, right now I just enrolled back in school, working on my bachelor's degree in urban and regional studies. I'll continue to write books. Continue to, I'm in the kitchen cooking up some new work.
Right.
That I'm gonna be putting out next year.
Sweet, looking forward to it.
I'll continue to put on events, definitely raising this money and getting the Restoring the Neighbor back to the training center up and running, and allow that to be a model across the country. Establishing Restoring the Neighbor back to the hood organization.
Right.
Being a part of my community. Not trying to lead my community, allowing my community to lead me.
I heard that. What would you ask lead though? If somebody said, "Hey, Yusef, we need you to lead us."
I mean, yeah, if that cause is my calling, but and that's what I mean. If my community leads me, then my community will develop me to be that leader, to be a part of that. But I'm not the leader per se. I'm part of a leadership that will help wave in the change that we need in our community.
I got you. But I'm tell you right now, I think you've been called to be lead. I mean, if I'm sitting here listening to you now, you have some great points that we need to, especially on this new political part. I'm like, it's really interesting, especially getting the funding together, organization.
Absolutely. I mean, what I'm trying to do is help shape the conversation that we have. Too many of us are nominating ourselves to be to leadership position while earning that right. And leadership again is about service. So if the community is leading, then you're part of that.
Right.
And not denying whatever responsibility I need to take. I would take that.
Right.
But it's coming out of being elected and selected and pushed through elders and people in my community. Not me just stepping up saying this is what I want to be without being disrespectful and just being on some arrogant shit.
Right. Because there's a lot of us out there like that.
There's many of us out there like that.
Especially, I'm not really pointing fingers at our more African Americans.
I point at them.
I'm like saying,
Malik Shabazz full of shit.
Whoa. I know, and you know what, I'm glad you said that because I haven't heard his I see him on news once, then he vanished. When you see him on what was that with Hugh Perkins?
Right.
You see him on there and then he vanished. There's no dialogue. There's no work in between. I haven't seen anything.
I mean, we have no no concept of what real leadership looks like. And these individuals are being forced down our throats. Many of these pastors, I mean, a lot of folks are like in the church have associated themselves with Al Snitching Sharpton. And I say Al Snitching Sharpton. He was a former member of the FBI as an informant. And you have folks within this city working within this organization, which I understand that they're seeking change, but the guy was an FBI agent. He was an informant. You know, you have the folks who work with Jesse Jackson. We see, you know, when he went to Ferguson, he routed the people around trying to get money out of them. He wasn't. He wasn't there, and they booed him and chased him up.
I did see that video, and I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was taking it back, but I think it's time to change the times. I think the old style organization is not working anymore for some reason. We're not, the way they did it then won't work now. Because we're back in the same situation.
I mean, I wouldn't classify it as that. I mean, Jesse Jackson doesn't necessarily represent the old guard in that sense. I mean, you think that he was just earning his stripes in a lot of ways, and it was upon the assassination of Martin Luther King that propelled him to the forefront. I mean, that's a whole history lesson that we
by itself, right.
But in regards to boots on the ground, he was a baby. So it wasn't necessarily old tactics. It's important that we look at old tactics to create new tactics. But Jesse Jackson represents a popular leadership. And he works for the interests of this country, not for the interests of black people. You see, only time he comes, he's a crisis manager. And when he comes in to calm us down, to keep the Negroes calm, and while he's getting his pockets laced.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at a point in time you can't keep us calm anymore.
Right, yeah. I mean, you couldn't keep us calm then. But the only reason to keep us calm now is because of we fell asleep. Unfortunately, the murder of Mike Brown, which reminds us the countless other murders that have occurred throughout this country, has awoken us. And again, we can't allow us to fall back to sleep.
No, we can't. And especially if we live in Florida, because we got to get rid of those stand ground laws, number one.
I mean, but also, in Detroit, you got Hollywood cred. I mean, he's the modern day John Wayne.
Oh, yeah. I would not touch on that. Brother, it's been a pleasure as usual.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up, and we got more coming. Yeah. So we got to get back to Restoring Neighborhood, get you back on for that. We got to get you back when your next book come out. So be ready. We're going to talk more about with Yusef Shakur at a later date. But today, I hope you got the great story of Ferguson, Missouri, because we can't let this die. This is only a match to the fire. We got some more organization, more dialogue, more things to come. But next week, I want you here because we're going to lighten the mood a little bit. We're going to have One Single Rose. I want to call her proper name, but I'm going to call her by stage name because I don't want her to get mad at me. So, One Single Rose and Octavia Ryder Leslie on a new stage play, Addicted. And what they guys do in politics, if you're addicted to something, 9 times out of 10 is back to politics. And I'll draw lines for you later. But next week, go lighten the mood, have a great show. Yourself, pleasure's always due. And I'll see you out here in the streets again. You know how we do.
Absolutely, my brother.
All right. See you again this week, people. This is Kelly Greene, Read Nation Radio, Urban Nation.